People who've worked for scam call centers. Did you know? And if you didn't stayed, why? Worked at one place when I was 19 or so that did public radio pledge renewals. Turned out the boss wasn't actually giving that money to anyone, just kept it. Bunch of suits and uniforms showed up and arrested him. Shut the company down in the middle of the workday. No idea if he was ever convicted or what might have happened to him afterward. Probably jail. That sound like serious fraud. I worked for a call center for about a month that bugged people to donate to charities with very similar names to actual charities, but less than 1% of the pledge would actually go towards a charity. When I found this out, I felt anxious about it and left, basically ghosting on it. No manager or employee of any kind even so much as called once when I missed my next shift. I just stopped showing up and then never heard from anyone again. A few weeks later I got a call to my landline, that I don't give out, asking if I wanted to come work for the exact same company. In my head I was like, do you guys even remember that I literally did work there and then just stopped showing up? Oh okay then. Definitely how a legitimate and not shady corporation would act. If you don't know, sometimes people who are hearing impaired have these special phones that can caption any calls that come through. I used to be a captioning agent and was captioning a scam call. Now at that company we have to caption every single call no matter the context. No exceptions. It was some Middle Eastern sounding guy pretending to call the police to frighten this elderly woman into giving him money. The woman was on the verge of crying but that bastard would not let up. I was not having it. It's totally against regulation, but I told the lady it's a scam and just stopped captioning in the middle of the call until the dude hung up. Frick those scammers. My aunt works for similar place, but they have the right to stop it if they know it to be a known scam. They also stop it if someone threatens the person on the call. Worked for an environmental non-profit as a teen doing calls and going door to door. I didn't really understand the legislation we were getting signatures for, but hey, it's good for the environment. A very nice hippie lady invited me in and explained that the non-profit I was working for was financed by the oil companies and was trying to backdoor a way to remove any liability for spills in the Gulf. I did some research and, sure enough, that was indeed the case. Told everyone in my office. About half were horrified and the other were like, hey, it's a living. I left and so did many others. It was a trash place to work anyway as you were paid by how much you brought in donations. For a while in Florida, go figure, I was selling back to the 50s concert tickets. This was to raise money for a police union. But we were told to start off every conversation with, you know, the Just Say No to Drugs program in schools for the kids. Total scam. The concert was all of these has-been acts and barely anybody showed. Only lasted a couple of months. I almost worked for a scam that was a water filtration company posing as a non-profit trying to get water to developing countries. I quit during orientation when I was told I needed to pay $400 for a starter kit. I didn't think MLMs could get any worse, but here we are. It wasn't a scam, but I needed a job in college, so I went to the job fair. First booth I approached was the alumni center, connected with the hiring manager, and got the job on the spot. Come to find out, we had to cold call alumni and ask for a gift to the university. The cherry on top was that I was assigned a list of numbers of alumni who had graduated in the 60s and 70s. Few calls ended with widows upset or crying I was asking for their deceased spouse. I lasted 2 weeks and no called, no showed. Not my proudest moment, but needed out. I was 16 and back in the day, circa 2003, Montreal was a huge haven for telemarketing scam operations, particularly those targeting the US. So being young and naive, I started phoning up places that had help wanted ads in the local newspaper. One called me back and told me to come in for an interview. It was a tiny little operation. For those of you from Montreal, right behind the famous orange tulip, with maybe about 10 people working there. The interview was quick and I got hired on the spot. They explained to me that Visa and MasterCard had an issuing department that they contracted out to smaller centers and we had to help process approved applications to get people their actual cards. I believed it. So I worked there for about 2 weeks, calling people and telling them that they got approved for a credit card application that they submitted a while back. It could have been up to 6 months ago. I still remember the script. and that we needed to get their information to update their file and rerun the credit check to issue their credit card. It turns out that they were selling them a credit repair kit, but that would only happen during the verification phone call. When the client agreed to everything, the supervisor would come on the line, dial out to a separate number to make a verification recording with the person on the line, and quickly rush through the information and blurb out the credit repair kit portion at the last second. Funny enough, the times the client objected or hesitated, they'd just hang up and tell me to go to the next person. 2 weeks passed by and then I was due for my first paycheck on Monday, so I walk in all happy knowing that I must have made a super duper commission. How that's weird. The doors are locked. They're not answering the phone either. What the? The office is empty and everything is gone. Then another one of my colleagues showed up and sighed. Then he mentioned to me, you didn't think they were really issuing credit cards, did you? So I headed back home all sad. I would spend the rest of that summer working at the grocery store. What the? The office is empty and everything is gone. Wow, that is beyond shady, and I feel sorry for you the most since you did not walk out the first day and stuck through the 2 weeks. Worked a call center in college, lasted all of 2 hours. We were collecting for some state trooper support fund or something, and there was a manager circulating on the floor with his own manager's headset where he could come plug in and listen in on your calls. Dude was a tool. Total Colin Farrell's character from Horrible Bosses type, you know that guys. Dark purple dress shirt with skinny black tie, chain wallet, bad goatee, starting to lose his hair at 25. Drives a Sentra with an expensive stereo in it and smells like clove cigarettes. That guy. Cut into a call where this elderly lady went from sorry, I can't contribute anything this year to because I'm having surgery and blah blah, and Todd or Chad or whatever his name was is all bro. You just need to cut people like that off and get to the next call. Frick him. I just realized that was not what I wanted to spend my time doing. Dark purple dress shirt with skinny black tie, chain wallet, bad goatee, starting to lose his hair at 25. Drives a Sentra with an expensive stereo in it and smells like clove cigarettes. Lose the chain wallet and car, and I'd think you might be describing me at 25. Got a job at a telemarketing place once. First day was told if you are okay scamming people you can make a lot of money. After the intro class we were split into pairs and were told to listen in to the experienced workers. Essentially how it worked was you call into a real company and the scammers would get phone numbers close to the reputable companies. So as you call in and are on hold, you think you are waiting to speak with them. A message would come on with some kind of scam deal, a free trip, $1 subscription for 12 months that costs you hundreds later on. Things like that. The very first call, this confused senior, who thought she was waiting to speak with her bank, so she willingly gave out things like her credit card number act. By the time she clued in and realized it was a scam and asked us not to process the information, the rep hung up on her and was actually laughing. Needless to say, I hopped on a bus home after that to go back to the want ads. First day was told if you are okay scamming people you can make a lot of money. I have this horrible image in my mind that they killed the people who walked out when that was stated. You're announcing that you're a criminal organization at that point to all your new hires. WTF. I worked for one company, which acted as two, called Aid Nest and thereafter USDR, while pretending to be two companies. Can I do this? Or do I have to edit the names out? The companies don't exist anymore. Anyway, I found out a couple of months into the job that although it wasn't exactly a scam per se, we were selling a service that people didn't need and could do for themselves. Later though, everything turned into a scam when the following happened. The owner's old business partner sued his balls off and managed to get all of his accounts frozen, including of course the ones where all of the client's money went and where all of our salaries came from. A couple of weeks later, we weren't even allowed into the building anymore. Almost 200 call center agents left on the street jobless. Oh, and during those couple of weeks we didn't get paid but were all forced to come in and try to make new sales to effectively pay our own salaries while things picked back up. They never did. They still owe me about 2.5k USD. We went to the Ministry of Labor. We made quite a fuss and it even made the news, without identifying the company itself. The legal representatives fled the country, and well, I guess we'll all just have to be P forever. It broke my heart every time I continue to receive email notifications which I can't turn off from clients who are still looking for responses and for help with their debt. And I can't even log into the system, which was paid for by the company, because it's not being funded but somehow still receives incoming messages. Don't know how that works. So I guess, what I mean is, if you worked with AidNest and haven't been getting answers, that's why. So not only the clients got scammed, but the employees did too. I'm spending way too much time on this comment that probably only a couple of people will read, but I think it's my one chance to help at least 1 or 2 people realize that although they didn't start out being scammed, they definitely were eventually because of the piece of crap owner. Oh my god. I'd say they know. Yes. Next time you get one of those scam calls about your car's warranty, go ahead and push the button to be connected to a representative. Ask them so you know you're working for a scam company that is making unsolicited robocalls. Right. Best you ever get is a sigh as they continue to read the script, if they don't just outright hang up on you. One time when I said that I haven't been in a car accident, the person's script told them to say I'm sorry, so they did, and I responded with so you've called me to tell me you're sorry that I haven't been in a crash, and for whatever reason, they lost it laughing for a solid minute or two. When I was about 19 I worked for a call center for 3 days. They were scamming everyone including the employees. First, shifts were only 3 hours long and you would be scheduled for 2 of those back to back. That is, 9:12 and 12:30 3:30. This is because if you are scheduled for longer than that you are 1. Legally entitled to break time 2. If you are scheduled for longer than 3 hours and get cut you have to be paid a minimum of 3 hours. The company would regularly cut you if you weren't bringing in enough money. You were then expected to return for your next shift. I'm sure they screwed people's paychecks somehow but I walked out on day 3 and abandoned my paycheck. I walked out because that was the day I learned where the money went. See, we weren't selling crap. We were raising money for breast cancer research. The key piece that led me to quit was when I learned that 0.1% of all donations went towards the actual research. The remaining 99.9%, well, it was lining pockets and funding other centers to scam people. I now only donate directly to a source and even then only after vetting them. I feel like an butthole, but I always say no when asked to donate to things in the checkout line or on street corners. I have no idea what percentage of my money is going to actually reach the charity, or if what they do with the money is something I support. Had an interview for me, went in, felt dodgy, went through into the guy's office. He's chatting away about the business fixing roofs and selling certain types, but you'll only answer incoming calls. As soon as he said that I knew he was full of crap. The callers closest to the office I watched do callouts and hi I'm calling from blah script. I deliberately fluffed the interview from then on and left as fast as I could. Wait, I'm confused. Why did the incoming calls spook you? I had a friend who worked at a scam call center and he didn't realize it until about 2 weeks after I told him that's what it was. When he first described the job to me, selling encyclopedias educational books by cold calling. In 2010, I told him it sounds like a scam. Not that he's scamming anyone, but the business owners were. He insisted the owners couldn't be scammers because they're average white Americans. This scam call center was in a major US city. My friend was an American who had never left the USA. I had to pick him up from this job once. It was at some random office park. The owner and his wife were at the front desk, dressed like they were on a tropical vacation. Were nowhere near anywhere tropical. Heavily tanned. Just looked very out of place and kind of sleazy. I got to see the work area, which was a fold-up round table with a bunch of computers around it. The whole place looked like it could be packed up in a very short time and looked very sloppy. After he got in the car I told him the place looks extremely shady, to please quit before it gets raided or something because while I can't be sure, the owners are probably doing something illegal. He finally quit about a week later. I never figured out what happened to the business, but who the heck was buying books from a random phone call, even back in 2010? That reminds me of some scam back in college, where someone called to offer me free magazines. Wasted a bunch of time setting it up to be told at the end it was either $10 a week or $10 a month for the subscription. I can't recall. It was years ago. Told them I was not interested anymore, and it was cheaper to subscribe to the magazines individually. I got hired to work in a loans office on the phone. Incoming calls. Basically they come across like a broker, telling people they qualified for certain loans and we would hook them up. We would then send a text with identical links to apply for loans. Pretty much every text had the same links. We charged them for an on-service. They weren't approved for anything. I hated the idea of working there. I thought I'd just get through the training and consider my options. I was hired by an agency. Not the only time I was screwed over by an agency, who assured me that I'd easily make above the lower range of starting wages because I had call center experience. I'd also get to pick my shifts, etc. All lies. Shocker. A place that scams customers also scams employees. They refused to even show me a contract until I had worked for 2 days. I lasted 3 days, and probably wouldn't have stayed so long but me husband's cousin worked there and thought the place was ace. I sent a scathing resignation email to the agent and the employer. Get it in writing and don't start a minute sooner. I worked for a company that sold coupon books for $20 a pop. They were signing up for a subscription that would charge them $30 per month after the first month if they didn't cancel. I always emphasize the cancellation part, but know that I duped lots of people out of money. I made good money for a college student, $14 an hour, plus commission, and I was one of the top sellers on my shift, so got quite a bit extra. People would call in, so I didn't do cold calls, which made me feel a little better. Between calls, I read comics. I put in my 2 weeks so I could focus on school, but when I went to work the next day, they were shut down. Everyone was crying in the parking lot, except me. We were all getting 2 weeks severance. My sister got scammed recently by fake cops. She kept asking to talk to a higher up and their higher up etc etc. They always had someone for her to talk to. I want to know how many people are on the average scam like that. Do they write a script? How do the logistics work like that? Why did my sister make such a dumb mistake lol? How many people are on the average scam like that? 4 accomplished voice actors. 2 are also pretty good at accents. After I started selling credit cards to old people on social security disability, I realized what I was being told to do and I walked out. That place was absolutely awful, and I legitimately felt bad for anyone I successfully duped into signing up with a one-time lifetime member card activation fee of $199.99. I constantly call the crass scammers from India to waste their time. One time I talked to a guy who was new and got his training. He was legit and hated his job. I got his phone number and we talked via WhatsApp. He legit thought it was real until the second day and quickly learned it was a scam. He felt awful doing it and quit not long after but was afraid he'd get killed because it's all organized crime there. They apparently bribed cops to look the other way. I worked in a call center during my senior year of high school along with a few other guys from our DECA class. We had to get a job and somehow this one attracted a few of us. Basically we would cold call and tell people you get a $100 Shell gift card and all you have to do is sign up for this service at $29.95 more and you can cancel anytime. We were selling free gas. Come to find out the service we were selling was not something you could cancel right away and it required a 60-day notice. The gas card wouldn't be sent out for 120 days and it wouldn't be sent out at all if you cancelled before then. So basically you'd have to give 60 days cancellation notice after you received your card. 120 days equals 4 months. 29.95 x 4 equals $119.80. And then 60 days cancellation equals 2 more months. They made about $180 for nothing and spent $100 on a gas card once they got their money. Frick them. I made $1,000 and that week as a 17-year-old so I was stoked. Then I found out what was happening and we all just spent the day saying was up to people we were connected with on the phone and never went back. Can't talk about any in the US, but my wife regularly gets calls on her business line, forwarded to our house since she works from there, from Indian call centers pretending to be Microsoft. She likes to let them on, and just when they think they're going to get access to her PC, she turns on them and tries to make them feel like crap. Do you know that you're preying on old people? How would you feel if someone did this to your mother or grandmother? And then do you have any spiritual beliefs? Do you know you're probably going to come back as a cockroach in the next life? So I work in a third-party call center for US Health, and my god, if they aren't a scam then I don't know what is. I hate this job with a passion and fully plan on quitting once I can land another job. Last time I lost a job, I went 6 months and probably 200 applications later before landing this crap hole of a gig. Don't particularly want to do that again. If anyone is wondering why I think one of the biggest health insurance companies is a scam, they make every applicant go through a 20-30 minute long health history questionnaire that's worded in a way to specifically confuse people. Depending on your past health history, you can be flat out denied. Ever had any kind of DUI or DWI or any run-in with the law, even if it was 15+ years ago? Denied. Any kind of cancer? Denied. Smoking tobacco use? Denied. Seen a chiropractor regularly, even only for general wellness cause it feels good? Denied. As far as I can tell, they specifically look for healthy people so they can charge them hundreds of dollars every month knowing they won't have to pay out. There are a few people who have one of the above who managed to slip through, but that is because one of the verifiers screwed up and input the wrong information. Heck, for the cancer one, all a verifier has to do is place onc at the end of the doctor's name and you will be denied, even if you said no to having cancer. So yeah, I hate this job with a passion and hope to leave soon. A properly qualified major medical health insurance approved by the ACA, by law, cannot discriminate for pre-existing conditions, with exception to adjusting prices based on age and smoker status, but still no outright denials. These would likely then be temporary health policies, which by and large are indeed scams. If you are new to the channel, you can subscribe. I publish new videos every day. Until then, check another video. Bye for now.